Hello, everybody. Welcome on into Out of Combat, the podcast about the stream that we just did for episode 14 that we did with a special guest, Captain E-Rock. My name is Moves Like Jagger. I play Azric. I'm joined with Virtual Spectre, who plays Hayden, and Maximus Rake, our glorious DM.
I play everybody else that's not a character.
Yeah. Good job, Max. I'm glad Captain E-Rock was able to stick with us for a 3-episode saga for his little his characters. It was great. I love Gromke.
Yeah. He added some really surprising stuff, being the Horizon Walker Ranger too, that was very specifically related to this little dungeon that you all went through.
Yeah.
Did you make this a side adventure based off his class, or he just happened to pick Horizon Walker and there was portal stuff going on?
He just happened to pick Horizon Walker because I had an idea what I wanted this to be, and then I saw what he picked and I was like, oh, that's perfect. Yeah, it's a magic place, of course there's gonna be a portal there. Like, it just happenstance it worked out.
That's one thing that I really love when we've had guest characters is not knowing what they're going to bring to the table.
Mm-hmm.
And like, we can know their class and whatnot, but it seems like Gromke was surprising me all the time. With first it was like the planar warrior thing, and then he was like, oh, well, I can find portals to other worlds. And I'm like, what?
you can what?
Other characters in the past that have done crazy stuff. When you play with the same people every week, you kind of get an idea of what they can do. And somebody new and fresh comes in and they surprise you with a race you're not expecting, a class you're not expecting, and
Mm-hmm.
they can just completely change a party dynamic, and it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, for sure.
I had to commend you, Max, because this side adventure became like a huge arc. And usually with when we have in the previous campaign one, when we had special guests, it wasn't like it was great, a lot of fun, it was a great story, but I didn't think it was gonna have like this big of an impact, especially with like a haunted island and this crazy broken arcane wizard tower and just like freaking little tiny beholders and all this crazy stuff. And then just like, and then I know you say you hate puzzles, but then you put some pretty good puzzles into this dungeon. You know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, that's the thing, is like puzzles aren't my thing. Like, as a player, I don't care about puzzles. That's for other people that enjoy that. But I realize that some people like these kind of things, so I wanted to include something. I think this one was pretty easy, but
yeah. If we had the full cast, the puzzle would have been much easier, especially if we had Taj or Mac with being a wizard and all, and then having access to all the schools instead of us trying to like bang our heads together. Just like, well, what spells do we have? And like most Azric spells are illusions and evocations. That's all. That's everything.
Mm-hmm.
That's all Azric has.
Yeah. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, it was funny when guys were trying to figure out what you had, and you're like, hey Hayden, you got like a magic item or something, and I was like, well, I got this cloak, but I don't think it's what you're looking for, and had to walk all the way up, get zapped by some radiant damage.
Yeah.
And at that point, Hayden was so salty. He's like, why did you even bother bringing me up here? I'm a rogue, man.
Yeah, and that's kind of like an indication of like if you got like the wrong answer, essentially. Mm-hmm. Like if you would have cast, like the wrong school or something like that could have happened as well. So that was just so happened to be the first time they got it wrong, and you were the one who did it. So
yeah, after staying back the entire time on purpose to avoid such a thing. It was funny,
I had
though.
all of this charted out. I think if Taj and Cooter were there, you maybe would have had to use like one spell slot, maybe two. I'd have to go back and look at it, but it was a little more challenging and thought provoking since you were missing those two.
Oh, did you base everything based on our cantrips and then maybe having to spend a couple spell slots?
Yeah, so I charted out kind of everyone that was playing as well as Gromke, figured out who had access to what spell schools, and then figured out like what level spell they had or if they had a cantrip. So I had an idea of like the minimum it would take. Like if you just tried to use as many cantrips as possible, it'd have been like maybe a spell slot, but maybe you didn't get that in the beginning. Maybe you would have tried other spells first. So the main thing is I just wanted to make sure that it was doable. Is why I kind of mapped all that stuff out.
I think it turned out great regardless. I mean, the map itself was really neat, with all the runes, and every time we got something right, new rune would glow. Yeah, and then the mini beholder. That was a thing I was not expecting.
Yeah. So a couple things on that. The first thing is on those like symbols and stuff. Like I had to find like and grab the actual symbols, and then I had to like arrange them on the map, like in Photoshop, pull out the background, have a version that was glowing and then a version that wasn't glowing, and then set up little lights around them so I could do them one at a time. So I mean, I hope the effect was good, that you actually got some positive feedback of when you got all of them and then like each one.
No, yeah, it felt awesome. I am curious how the necromancy spot was already active. I wonder how it got active.
I'm gonna just chalk that one up and give this one to you for free. Is because Cooter was gone, you couldn't have done it, and since Nina was like a last minute, like because she wasn't feeling well, I didn't want to punish the group because of that, because she had the necessary thing for that and nobody else did. So that one I had to do that. So as far as in-world reasons, who knows? But that one I had to. Otherwise, you couldn't have done the puzzle. So
you know what though? Like you find that a lot in games and stuff where there's a puzzle. Usually there's like a first step that's already done there, and it's supposed to help you kind of get an idea of what this puzzle's looking for. So I didn't think twice about it. I'm like, oh, this makes sense. Sure, why not have one glow already?
Yeah, I hope it's not anticlimactic for me telling you that, but like I
no. I mean, it would have been fun if Nina was here and she could vomit over it, because that's how she casts ray of sickness.
Yeah. One thing you mentioned, the other little beholderkin thing, that creature's known as a Gouth. And a Gouth are like, they're part of like the beholder family, but they are hungry, like tyrannical beings that eat magic. That's how they choose to survive.
Oh, that gives me a question.
Sure.
So the entire time we were in that place, casting spells had some sort of bonus effect, if you want to call it that. That was like a random effect. Was there a table you found of random stuff, or did you make like a table with random things on it that you could roll for?
I found a table for that type of stuff, and then modified some things that never came up because I kept rolling like the similar thing. But yeah, I found something like as a starter point for some of that stuff.
Yeah, because a lot of it was like pretty neat, actually. The anti-magic field thing. And
it was just like wild surging for the whole party, or for the whole island.
The whole island for sure. Something's definitely not right there.
No.
So you think if Mac was a wild sorcerer again, how that would affect like wild magic in a wild environment? It's just like just amplifying and extrapolating on each other.
You touched on something earlier, Boobs, about like how it was unexpected how closely these things would tie in with just like a guest appearance, compared to like last season or last campaign. And I think I tried like being like a newer DM in campaign 1, and like, trying to figure out how guests can come in. They have to have their own thing. And like when we had Erok come in, it was just like, I kind of looked at it from a different angle, maybe a different lens. It's just like I can use this to kind of like just dump all kinds of like lore that maybe you wouldn't have otherwise been able to, to get. So I kind of use that as like a way to sort of further the story and give you a whole bunch of lore that I don't even know what you're going to do with. So
yeah, I kind of thought, I was like, all right, Wizard Tower, 60 years advanced from campaign 1. Ophiar seems is a lich. He's still around, possibly. So maybe this is like his second tower. But then the whole like the whispering messages and how everything was like a riddle and a rhyme. I was like, oh, that's not Ophiar's style. So it could be another deranged, immortal wizard person who's trapped.
And then Emmy's potential religious connotations that didn't make sense to her as well. Lots of fun stuff.
Yeah, I think you described it this way, but also the entire time there was a vibe of like almost like different eras in history all kind of smashed together in one building. Like we had a bunch of like ancient arcane stuff and that looked one way in one room, and then we got to the library. And then it looked completely different in there. And there was also a construct, which we hadn't seen. Because everything else to that point was like the beholder type of monsters. And then just, I don't know, it felt like we were going from place to place and just experiencing a mishmash of like ancient arcane history, which is pretty cool.
Yeah. And kind of the tidbit I gave you about, the Gauth about like eating magical energy, like what sort of beings would be drawn to this sort of place, this sort of broken, arcane, whatever you guys decide it is, what would want to go there, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
No, you go for it. You started.
I was just gonna say, out of the loot that we got, I wonder if there's any identifiers about who may have owned that place. Like maybe there's a inscription on that locket or something, or a signature on something.
I did want to grab, if there were like books or tomes, that I wanted to grab them for Cooter so she can research them. I would just, Asgore just grabbed like 3 books and then whatever it may be. Yeah, it's possible.
You'll have plenty to look into. Don't worry about that.
I'm excited to find out some of the stuff we took, what it is.
Oh yeah. And then it makes me think, because Zindal mentioned that this place was fractured and torn apart from the earth. So there's somewhere on another island where the rest of this wizard tower exists. So
yeah,
I kind of want to find it.
There wasn't any windows in that space at all, so we don't know what was outside, but we could hear stuff.
Yeah.
Only we had like a barbarian with a hammer or something to break a wall down.
Adamantine hammers knocking down walls.
Sure, yeah. Just bust it up.
I'm gonna miss Gromkey, man. I'm gonna miss E-Rock. I love it when he guests on the show. It's always a great time.
Yeah, for sure. I'm glad we got to kind of complete like a little mini arc with him. I know that's something that we've talked about, of bringing guests on, of like doing more than just like one, like or two, giving them like a more definitive like path to kind of explore. I think it's the way forward, in my opinion.
Yeah, and it helps that he's done this before with us, certainly, but he's taken part in other games too. So he's such a great guest because he'll just jump right in, and whatever we're doing, he's on board with.
Yeah, he's
like
down
right
with
away.
I love the fight when everyone was worrying about the middle eye, and he's like, "I look straight at it." Like, amazing.
What is this weird thing? I want to know what it is.
Yeah.
Classic Gromkey. Yeah, I do like, because in the past it felt like we had to rush the episode, right, that they guessed in, and we kind of just had to like skip a lot of things just to make sure everything wraps up in one in one go for our guests, but I really do enjoy experiencing the arc with our guests and them able to tell their story.
Yeah, for sure.
And before we wrap up, I feel like this is kind of a milestone for a level up. I don't know how you feel about that, Max.
Yeah, shit. I meant to say that during the episode. It was already late. I was trying to wrap things up and then get off there. But yeah, I will. I guess Out of Combat exclusive. I'll bring it up next episode, but everyone's going to level up after this. So
yes,
I'm glad you mentioned that because I had it written down, but I was like, we got to wrap up. We're done. Like, it's late. We got to go.
Uncanny dodge time. Let's go.
Yeah. I'll share the good
Eldritch
news.
Blasts. Bam,
Nice.
Bam, bam.
Yeah, I think 3d6 now for me.
For sneak attack?
At 5th level.
Oh man.
Yeah.
That's some
More
good
damage
dips right there. Well, there you have it, folks. Catch us next Friday, 6 p.m. Pacific time. Casters of Cantrips. And we'll be level 5, and we'll checking out our cool new powers. And Azric's gonna try to get some more money than out of things with a certain spell when we talk to the fence.
Cool.
Okay.
Very nice.
All right. Well, thank you, everybody, and we'll catch you next time. See ya.
See y'all.
See ya.